Hey guys, one of the most important parts of the painting process for me is taking a good reference photo. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my process in setting up a still life and taking a good reference photo that I'll feel very comfortable painting because it has all the qualities that I like. So here's an example of how simple it is to set up a subject for taking a good reference photo for. So here I just have an apple and some window lighting, and all I'm gonna do here is put the apple right where the shadow meets the light and make sure that I get good shadows on the apple and good highlights and midtones. Here's another example of a setup I use to do one of the paintings that I've done. I just have my phone there and on flashlight mode, and I just set up how I wanted my painting to look, and I just test different angles because you never know which shot you're gonna like the best out of all of the ones you end up taking. Now to get into my process of how I would go about setting up a still life and taking a good picture. Just doing something simple like taking a everyday house object and putting it in a space where you have a good background and a good surface to put on is a good place to start. And something that I like to make sure I have right is making sure that the shadow is visible and that the subject is at an angle where there will be some highlights, some bright highlights in certain parts of it. Also, if you wanted to know what camera settings I use, it's really just a feel thing, but as most who use a camera know, just make sure the ISO is as low as possible and the shutter speed it doesn't really matter as much in a situation like this where there's no movement. But if you want me to go more in depth about the camera settings I use to take a good reference photo, then just let me know in the comments and I'll happily make a video about that. So here's me just testing a few different objects and just placing them randomly. Now the goal here is to get as many pictures as possible of different subjects, different setups. I'm just picking items that I think look interesting, and I'm someone who likes to paint glass, so I have a lot of different glass objects from places like antique stores or just, a friend of yours or somebody you live with has a used glass bottle. That's where I get mine from. Now, whenever I set something up like this, I like to have if it's not just one subject but multiple, I like to have a theme, or I like to use complementary objects. So in this case, I'm using milk, sugar, and eggs. It just not only I think looks well together and it's easily recognizable, but It could even tell a story. So that's one of the things that I look for when setting one of these up. So the main thing that I'm looking to do here is get a good composition that will look good for a painting. Now, it's different. The reasoning, like you're gonna take a different picture based off the reasoning behind that picture. For example, when I take pictures of still lifes or, random subjects, I do it for the purpose of painting from it. So therefore, when I think of the composition, I think of what could be either easily painted or would look good in painting form, which is, it sort of takes a feel to get that composition right for taking a picture that you're gonna paint from. But as long as you have decent compositional skills, like for example, never having something directly in the middle, or having things be symmetrical, make sure that whatever you're painting is balanced, but that doesn't always mean it has to be symmetrical. I decided to change the egg out, the brown one, from the white, because I felt that it helped with the variation in the color there, and I think it overall helped with the composition, because the milk and the sugar are white and they're in the background, and also having something white in the foreground helps bring it together, in my opinion. So that ended up the way I ended up liking it. Yeah, feel free to just grab any objects that you think will work out, even objects that you don't think will look right, honestly. I'm literally just grabbing anything that I've seen around and I think will look alright as a painting. And like I was saying, when I take pictures for painting format, I think about how the light and shadows look, and I tend to exaggerate a little bit the shadows and the highlights. And also another tip that I like to use for my camera is I always shoot underexposed, or not always, but in most cases I like to shoot my pictures underexposed. That just helps me to see the subject for what it really is. There's not a lot of exposure, just taking some color out of it. So I get true color, and I still get definition in the shadows and everything, and all of that ends up helping in the long run when finally deciding to paint whatever it is that I took a picture of. So for this final setup that I'm doing, I just experimented with that salsa on the right versus on the left, and I like the formation of the shadows with it on the left rather than on the right, because it was too heavily set on one side. So I just figured it would look better this way. So that's my little explanation on how I set up things and how I take pictures of things for painting. If you like that, feel free to subscribe and comment.